you breathe purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
All right, welcome into the show, Wednesday, August 30th edition of Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game. 3 days away from kickoff, East Carolina, Michigan in the Big House. But today we're talking some East Carolina baseball. We have got head coach Cliff Godwin in studio. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. If you got a question, tweet at us. Let us know on Facebook, YouTube. We'll get to it throughout the show. Coach, first off, are you ready for some football? I know you're always in baseball mode, but are you excited for some college football?
It's kind of snuck up on me, to be honest with you, and it's pretty crazy that you had week 0 last week, and but I'm excited to watch Saturday for sure.
East Carolina, Michigan. We did have one question. What are your keys to victory for the Pirates? Any insight you can give Coach Houston?
I'm going to let Coach Houston coach football, and I'm going to coach baseball. That's my advice. But just for them to go out there and be themselves, I think that's critical in any big game that you play, whether it be in a postseason or a ranked opponent. I think when you try to do something that you're not, that's when teams get in trouble.
No doubt. We've seen ECU in each sport kind of rise to the occasion in situations like this. So we'll see how the football team responds on Saturday. Well, Coach, how's your offseason been? We follow each other, or at least I follow you on Instagram. I know you may still have me blocked on Twitter because you don't want to read my negative comments. But
maybe being over here now, maybe they're not as negative if we're playing bad. But it just keeps me in a better headspace. I mean, like I tell our players, if you believe it when it's good, you're going to believe it when it's bad. But the off season's a lot different now than it was 5 years ago, as you can imagine. My summers are not as much on the road recruiting. It's more of figuring out what our roster is going to be, kind of being the guy on the home front when we need to show kids around, whether it be, a late portal guy or a recruit, Jeff and Austin and the third assistant, which now is Henry Lartigue. They're out on the road more than I am. But it's different. You have your freshmen come in, making sure those guys are situated and doing what they need to do in summer school and working out with Coach Wilson. So it's just a lot different, but there's not a lot of downtime for sure in the summer.
And you're one of the most competitive guys I've been around this sport. Everybody knows how much ECU baseball means to you. So how do you take advantage of this time and get away? Because, we all, if we love what we do, you still got to get some time to get away just to recharge, because otherwise you'll go mentally insane. So, I mean, just when you get that time to recharge, what do you like to do this in the off season?
Well, I like going to the beach. Chad Tracy and I have a beach house down at Sunset Beach. I don't get down there as much as probably what I would like, but that's a good relaxing time. And I'm going to be honest with you, since last year I've had to work on myself a lot more than I ever have with getting COVID and having the knee replacement, it getting infected. There were some tough days in there, and I think it was God like, hey, look, if you don't start taking care of yourself some, you probably ain't going to be doing this much longer. And that's one thing I've really had to do over the past year.
You just finished up year 9, I believe, at East Carolina.
That's crazy.
Going into double digits, about to be year 10.
I know, I'm getting old, man.
It's hard to believe, man. But it's awesome, the run of success you guys have had, coming off a 47-win season. I don't think people realize just how tough that is to do.
Second most wins in ECU baseball history, which at the time I didn't even know it. But now looking back on it and the consistency of what our guys have done, I guess I think it's been 5 years in a row of 40-plus win seasons. I mean, there's never been a stretch like that at East Carolina, and I don't want the credit. I just want our guys to get the credit. I want our staff to get the credit.
And obviously, as last season kind of unfolded, there was a lot of talk, hey, should ECU be a regional host? And I know you guys were trying to win that conference championship to maybe vault yourself into that category. It felt like even if y'all won the tournament, it wasn't going to happen. I mean, your take on that?
Yeah, it wasn't going to happen. And, I can sit here and say it's BS, but it doesn't matter. I thought Campbell should have definitely hosted. I think if and I might get in trouble for saying this, but if ECU had been where Campbell was RPI-wise, then we would have hosted, and that's a shame the way college act, because I thought Campbell earned it to host last year.
Yeah, I thought so too, and obviously having to go on the road to South Carolina.
John Gilbert's going on the committee though, so
that's true.
Hey, maybe we'll get some pull in there.
All the pressure is now on John Gilbert. So if you guys don't host next year, we'll blame John.
I will not blame John unless it's deserving.
Right. Fair enough. Well, and obviously y'all had to go to UVA, which was one of the more talented teams in the country. Y'all know each other so well too. And it felt like those two games were super regional caliber games. I mean, y'all were hit away both times. Starlin's ball to the warning track, maybe gets out at Clark LeClaire on a good windy day. So it just felt like them being at home obviously played a big role in them winning those games. But I guess that's part of going on the road in the postseason. Yeah,
I mean, in the first game we played them, I mean, it's a 2-1 game, and the first baseman, I think Anderson, flipped the ball into right field, and we hit some balls hard as they did. The wind was galing in, and then game 2 when Landon was pitching the first 3-run homer, I didn't think that ball was going out,
right.
But the wind was a lot different. But I thought our guys, 15 out of the 18 innings took UVA toe-to-toe, and they obviously were really good, a lot of really talented players, but our guys definitely played their best, I thought, and we just didn't play quite good enough. But it's tough, man. You go to a national seed when I don't know how they rank the 2 seeds, but I would have said that we were in the top 5 of 2 seeds for sure. So, could we have gone to a 1 seed that maybe wasn't a national seed? That would have helped out probably. But if we had to lose to somebody, you know how much respect I have for UVA. They're a great program, and Coach Mack and Oak over there do a great job.
Hey, will y'all scrimmage them again this fall?
Yeah, we should probably stop. But Oak asked me, and it's just we just go back and forth. So Clemson will come here. They're coming here October 15th, which is a Sunday. And then I'm pretty sure it's the next Sunday we go to UVA on the road. So those are our 2 fall games.
And 2 tremendous programs, obviously, with Omaha caliber aspirations as you guys do. So that'll be big-time competition, great fall action this fall. Well, Coach, before we fully turn the page, just want to touch on again the seniors from this past year, and Carter Spivey and Lane Hoover are still playing out for the Florence Y'alls. So every time I get on Twitter, I see an update about that. But those 3 guys with Garrett Saylor are also involved in that group, and I know it was an emotional post-game press conference for sure. Just when you kind of look at how much they meant to your program, what kind of legacy do they leave behind?
Man, they left the place a lot better than how they found it. That's what we always talk about, and Hoove, I haven't prayed a whole lot at third base, but his last at bat at UVA, I prayed that he would get a hit because thought he deserved that, and he did. He played his tail off down there, and going to get Spivey off the mound at UVA, he didn't want to come out of the mound, and just felt like he deserved to have his team come out of the dugout one last time if we weren't able to come back. And, the way Saylor pitched down the stretch at the conference tournament and at UVA, those guys, the numbers will never indicate what they really meant to ECU baseball and the legacy that they have left here.
No doubt. 3 outstanding guys and great baseball players. But as you said, better guys. I mean, that's what makes them, so fun to cover and talk about. This offseason, Coach, how would you kind of evaluate as far as roster movement? I mean, it's crazy right now. Guys at every program either transferring out. Not a ton as far as that. We can get into the Alec Makarevich situation maybe if you're willing to go there. But guys coming in, big freshman class coming in, but also a lot of guys returning. So how would you kind of evaluate this offseason?
I think that we're as deep as we have been in a long time position player-wise. I think we got a lot of talent. I think we have got a lot of older guys returning that are good players. I think it's going to be very competitive this fall, which is exciting. On the mound, we've got some high-end guys for sure. I've been really impressed with the few guys that we got out of the portal, just how much they have relayed to our younger guys, especially because freshmen, when they come in, they don't know anything except what we're doing here at East Carolina. They don't know how other coaches across the country treat their players or take care of them or don't take care of them, whatever the situation may be. And they have come in and just told the freshmen, like, you don't know how good you have it here by the stuff that you have. And that's been very refreshing for me in a time where, the portal, the NIL stuff is created a lot of selfishness. And look, I don't look, 18 to 22 years old, man, I would have probably fell in that same trap. It's tough because you don't have as much life moments to be able to just go into that category box of your brain and go, hey, well, I might be able to get a little bit more money, but these guys have taken care of me. And I would tell you the best recruits that we had from this summer were, getting Justin Wilcoxon back, getting Jacob Starling back, getting Treya Savage back, and Jake Hunter and Shinkman, all these guys that had good summers. Because what happens when you go out in the summer ball now and you perform at a high level, then the player at school X goes, hey, why don't you come to this school? And I think we can get you some money. And then, it's a snowball effect. But I just appreciate the integrity and the men that the guys are that are coming back to our program, because that just means so much to me.
The NIL side of things, it's hit every sport, and it's definitely gotten into college baseball. And your take on that with, Team Boneyard's doing some good things as far as raising money there. I know you've probably, gone out and done some things maybe to help out your guys when possible. But when you look at just NIL in college baseball and in your program, do you feel like it's at a good point, or does it need to keep getting better as far as fan support there?
Well, the thing, and I've talked to a few of our guys who are getting NIL stuff, and me and you were talking before we went on air, and heard Dabo Sweeney say this on a podcast yesterday, and it's the way that I believe is NIL for us is for retention. It's for the guys that have been in our program that have done things the right way and, helped us win championships, but been good in the classroom, the whole deal. But hey, I can't see a time where Coach Godwin's going to be offering NIL stuff to recruits, which I know that's technically not legal, so right. I guess I can't ever do that. But that's everybody's doing it. So Alex Getty, don't have to worry about me because I'm not doing it. But I want to take care of the guys. Like last year, Hoover, Saylor, and Spivey were not on scholarship, but they were able to get some NIL money, which I appreciate for our donors doing that. But I've talked to our guys too, and this is the thing: when you have a great culture like we do, it creates selfishness and jealousy in the locker room, and that's coming from our guys. So I always educate our guys is, look, you don't need to talk about it. You just, hey, look, you got some help, and that's helping your family out, but let's go play baseball and let's be a great teammate. And I don't think those conversations need to happen in the locker room, but we all know they do.
Rod Gray, speaking of NIL, kind of had some questions. He said, how important is the NIL in college baseball? We just kind of touched on that. He said to recruits.
Well, hey, let me just hit on that. Well, I mean, if you're in the SEC, they're offering recruits $150,000, $200,000, to go play there. And I just worry about the culture. And I just go back to what we've done consistency-wise, winning baseball games, having a 3.4 team GPA or higher for 6 straight years. Well, you look at Mississippi State, they won the national championship 3 years ago. They haven't made the SEC tournament in 2 years. So when Cliff Godwin goes to the school, gets $150,000, the team doesn't win as much early. Do you think Cliff Godwin's invested into that No, all he cares about is, hey, I'm going to try to get myself drafted. I don't care if we win any more games here or not. And that's just sad because it's a team sport.
Yeah, it can create a lot of issues for sure. He also asked, how does the Pirates NIL program compare to other national programs ECU competes against? So we just kind of talked about the SEC. Outside of the SEC, do you see it, still ramping up in the ACC, other regional teams as well?
Well, I think the Power Five, the thing they have, and look, I'm not gonna say this is gonna be an excuse for us, but how they have the Austin money, which every player pretty much in their program gets, $6,000, which you think about guys that are on scholarship, that's a huge deal. I heard Eric Backage say this in one of his interviews. The goal for us would be that if we could have every player on a full ride because of NIL. So you get 11.7 scholarships, but if you could supplement, don't think that'll ever happen here at East Carolina. I'm not naive enough to believe that, but we've had some donors that have really stepped up to the plate, and some of our returners and our older guys have, been able to definitely make some money to cover some expenses that they have, especially for guys out of state, like a Jacob Starling.
He is Cliff Godwin, head coach at ECU. Let's get our first break in. We'll come back. We'll dive into some more of the roster, some more of the guys coming back as well on the other side. You're listening to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
A huge selection of new Toyotas is ready to go at Greenville Toyota. Rush in for the one you want before it's gone. Camrys, just $269 a month. RAV4s, ready to go for just $289 a month. Now at Greenville Toyota.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
At GoEco, we don't just supply the office space. We create solutions for any environment. Our state-of-the-art commercial-grade video display is perfect for watching film with the team. From film study to the field, elevate your game with GoEco.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
New Toyotas are ready to go at Greenville Toyota. Shop a huge selection with new inventory arriving daily. Don't see what you want? We'll find it or order it for you. Plus, fresh trades are rolling in and ready to go for delivery today. Rush to Greenville Toyota.
We're live with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, welcome back into the show. Wednesday, August 30th. Again, we're live on YouTube, Facebook. Get your questions in for later in the program. We'll run them down. We got a number already on Twitter and YouTube as well, so we'll get to those here shortly. Coach, let's talk about the guys coming back, and y'all, we touched on a little bit first segment. Justin Wilcoxon, maybe weren't initially expecting him to be back, as he was getting some draft interest, and obviously that was a possibility. But when you got that call that he was coming back, what did that mean to you?
It was awesome. I would say this: his parents, and especially his mom, Mary Beth. Of all parents I've dealt with, they're in the top tier, and just because they get it, they get loyalty, they get integrity, they get the whole thing. And of course, J-Dub wants to play professional baseball, but they had a number in their head. I thought going into the draft that they would get that number. For whatever reason, he did not. And he called me up, says, "Coach, I'm coming back to school. I'm gonna finish up my master's." And I was like, "Hell yeah, let's go." And Starling, same way. He had a number in his head that he was going to stick with and didn't get it. And, man, this is harder now. I mean, there's a lot of good players out there. The draft is obviously there's only 20 rounds back to when, I played. There was 50. There's less minor league organizations now, or teams. I shouldn't say organizations, teams. And they're continuing to shrink them. So, man, it's very competitive.
And you look at kind of the older guys in the program now. Danny Bill coming back for his senior year, Wilcoxon, Starlin, Barini, Cam Claunch. So y'all will have a good senior class. Carter Cunningham.
Yeah.
So, y'all will have a pretty big-time senior class. And this day and age, that doesn't happen a whole lot, especially at a good program like yours.
Well, those guys are great people, number one. And I say this a lot, and it might offend people, but if you have good parents at home, then the kids, they get some advice, because the thing I don't envy whatsoever is there's so many people that can touch these young men from social media. And it's hard to navigate, hey, what is the truth, what is real, and what is false. And but when you've got good parenting like those guys do, then they believe in hard work. They believe in what we do here at East Carolina. I'm sure that a parent of theirs has been pissed that their kid hadn't played enough for me, but they know that I'm always going to be honest, and we're going to take care of their kids if something happens bad off the field. So I'm super pumped for all those guys to be back, and they've been great leaders in our program.
The other thing, too, when you look at that list, very few of those guys had immediate success. I mean, they all kind of either had to wait their turn, develop, obviously embrace the program, but they've all gotten better over time. And like even a guy like Cam Claunch will have a chance, probably start every day if he earns it on the field this fall. So I know that's got to make you proud too.
It does. I mean, Claunch has been the ultimate competitor, team guy. This past year when we played. I think it was that 3 games in one day with Tulane, and he came up to me in the dugout, and I had told him he was going to start game 3, but then they threw a lefty, and he said, Coach, I know you told me you're going to start me in game 3, but do what's best for the team, and you just don't get that. And then I was texting with him on Sunday after we had recovered a little bit, and he says, yeah, Coach, nobody envies your job. And I appreciate when players actually understand that, hey, man, it's not personal. It's just I've always got to do what's best for the team. But you see a guy like Joey Barini that comes into our program as a pinch hitter for 2 years, and then he earns the starting shortstop position. Yet last year, Carter Cunningham, first year, kind of in and out. And then last year, really until the end. And then the end, he takes off. Danny Bill changes arm slots to become better. And, I mean, J-Dub had like 69 at-bats or something his redshirt sophomore year, but hit the big home run against UVA. And then last year is our starting catcher. Those guys put a lot of work in, and our staff, that's the thing that I'm so proud about is our staff can develop guys too.
No doubt. It's the proof's in the pudding, not just with those guys, but other guys in the past as well. Obviously, big news with Alec McRae choosing to leave the program, obviously going to NC State of all places. And, Pirate fans did with that what they will. Just your take on the situation and how much of a surprise was that with a guy who obviously you had stuck by, started – pretty much every game in the past 2 years was a key guy.
Well, you told me not pretty much every game. Every game, 133 straight games. First off, look, did it hurt me emotionally? 100%, because I've invested a lot into AMAC. AMAC is not a bad human being. As I told him in my office, he got some bad advice. I don't know who gave him bad advice. I think he was pretty frustrated internally that he didn't get a chance to play professional baseball. And as I told our team, I don't control professional baseball. They call me, they ask me what type of person they are, but they don't listen to me as far as, hey, look, if he goes into professional baseball, he'll be a better hitter, whatever it may be. But look, AMAC's a grown man. What I can lay my head down on every night is that I gave him every ounce of me for 4 years, and that wasn't enough, and he chose to go to the school down the road. And I would say this because I'm sure people have questioned or anything. There was nothing behind the scenes. Coach Avent called me at 9 o'clock on a Friday when AMAC had been in my office on Thursday, said he was leaving, and he said he's coming to visit at 10 a.m., but there was nothing behind the scenes. And then he actually called me on Monday before it was going to become official, and he didn't have to do that, and I appreciate that.
And y'all are scheduled to play NC State this season, I'm sure?
Yep. Home and home. So,
right.
It'll be interesting.
No doubt. Coach, you look at just some of the arms that are coming back and what y'all have added in the portal. I guess we'll touch on the portal as well. Y'all did add some key guys via the transfer portal. And we can touch on the incoming recruits. But how happy were you with some of those guys in the transfer portal?
Well, I don't like to talk about a lot of incoming guys until they go out there and prove it. But I will say this, back to what I said earlier, they're so appreciative of what we have here at East Carolina, from our coaches, the way they pour into our young men, our facilities. Drew Bryan has been a breath of fresh air. He is super, super engaged in what he's doing every day. and he's very comfortable in his skin, and his goal is to be the best version of himself to play professional, but he wants to go to Omaha. Like, I don't know if we've ever brought a kid in like that and he makes other people uncomfortable, which I like. It's right. Some people might think he's crazy. I enjoy it. So super excited about him. Chris Kaler from George Washington. It's always good when, you get a guy that actually shoved it up your butt offensively that first weekend against George Washington. And I'm excited about him and others as well. Mm-hmm. But those two, I'm just excited about because how appreciative they have been for everything we've done for them.
I talked to them on the phone after they committed. Yeah, Brian, what I noticed was he's super serious, almost business-oriented, like just wants to show up and get the job done, win, like you said. And then Kaler couldn't stop talking about the fans, man. He thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I know he's going to be looking for – he said he got booed on a pickoff move, and it was the coolest thing he's ever experienced. So
Kaler, much more of a talker. Drew, very, very intelligent. Not that Chris is not intelligent, but Drew is very smart. He's he probably could be a pitching coach one day if he wanted to, and he had to pretty much develop himself into what he is today because he was a catcher coming out of high school, turns into a pitcher, and they just didn't have all the technology that we have here and just the coaching expertise, and that's not a knock against their program, but man, he's totally dialed into what he's doing every single day.
Trey Savage coming back for his junior season. Obviously, I'm sure he'll get a lot of attention as a draft-eligible guy. Team USA, another Team USA participant for East Carolina.
5 years in a row.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
And seemed to pitch really well there. And he had a huge innings leap, from obviously his freshman year to sophomore. So just your take on how much he grew. I mean, the results speak for itself, but just how excited are you for him to be back for a third year?
Oh, man. Look, you don't – not many times in your coaching career you got a Friday night ace coming back, as a junior, and we're super excited. He made just great strides last year. Him and Coach Knight worked so hard. Obviously had a little bit of the arm soreness where we had to shut him down for a little bit, and he won't throw live until really late in the fall, if all, just because of the workload he had last year. But he's coming out of his shell. He's not a big talker. He's kind of like me, but he's super motivated and, being the best version of himself, but also pushing the pitching staff as well.
For him, is it just getting more consistent? I mean, can he add anything else to his repertoire? What's the next step for Trey Savage on the mound?
I think just being a little bit sharper with all of his pitches, and throwing them exactly where he wants to throw them. I mean, there's not a lot, but I just think that's the next step, and for him to understand the workload and let us know if his arm gets sore earlier so that we don't have to shut him down, so to speak. And I think just understanding his body and what it takes to be a Friday night starter, I mean, when you've done that, I think that helps the next year.
Guys obviously have to go out and earn it, but just what we saw from Zach Root last year, it would seem he could move into a weekend role full-time next year, and especially, the bigger the moment, he seemed to rise to the occasion. So is it more about consistency with him going into sophomore season?
Yeah, for sure, because I think I told you this at some point in time, but when he was going to pitch against UVA, I had no doubt he's going to pitch good because he's a guy that just rises to the moment. Now we got to get him to rise to the moment when he's, where we're pitching on the road and there's 100 people there, whatever it may be. He's got to rise to those moments. But one thing he's done this summer is he pitched good this summer, but then he's put on some good weight. So he looks different this year, which is a good thing.
How excited are you just about the depth overall? Like just looking over some of these names, Shinkman, Jaden Winter had a really good summer. Eric Ritchie had a good close last year. Jake Hunter put up phenomenal numbers. I mean, it just feels like y'all have a lot of depth and versatility on the mound. We already talked about the transfers. We haven't even gotten to some of the freshmen coming in. So you got to like the numbers, right?
Yeah, that junior class of pitchers are really, really tight. And Jaden has made a huge jump. Eric Ritchie wasn't able to pitch this summer because he broke his finger in the regional, which a lot of people didn't know. Jake Hunter and Shinkman had great summers, but that junior class is really tight, and they're leaders on our pitching staff, as the juniors that are in our program positionally as well.
All right, let's get our second break in. We'll come back. We'll talk about some of the position players and also get into some of your questions. You're listening to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. Do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Just because voice-over IP telephones are the latest technology in the telephone world doesn't mean they're the right choice for you and your business. Whether your internet provider is unable to support a voice-over IP phone system, or you don't have a need for high-tech features and simply want to stick with a traditional system, Spain Telecom is here to help. Spain Telecom offers a variety of services to keep your business connected and competitive. We're confident we can find the right phone system for you and your business, a system that addresses all your communication needs. Looking for a new phone system that won't break the bank? In addition to new systems, Spain Telecom also offers gently used systems that are in great shape and can save you money. No matter your needs, Spain Telecom has a solution for you. Whether it's voice over IP, on-premise systems, new or used, give us a call at 252-353-2006 and let Spain Telecom help you with your communications needs.
Pizza? Ooh.
Yes. All pineapple.
No.
What's wrong with pineapple on pizza?
I only eat pizza with pizza things.
That makes sense. Pineapple is a pizza thing.
Also makes sense. Is it though?
This tastes great.
That we agree on.
Let's agree to agree. Pepsi Zero Sugar tastes great.
Can't you just pick off the pineapple?
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
Pirates play here. Arr! This is Hoist the Colors Radio with Stephen Igo.
Yes! That was so good!
On 94.3, The Game.
All right, welcome back into the show. Wednesday, August 30th, 3 days from kickoff at Michigan, East Carolina taking on Michigan in football. We're talking baseball today. We'll continue our football coverage Thursday and Friday on the show before we head out to Ann Arbor. And, Coach, we ran down some of the pitchers earlier. We also got some questions to get to and some position players to talk about as well. I don't know. Is it too early to go around the diamond and preview like position battles? Y'all hadn't even started.
Way too early.
Yeah.
So, hey, you let your fans and your message board people do that, but we ain't even started team practice yet.
Right.
So there's a lot of, like I told you, it's the deepest position player group, and just since I've been here, I think,
Right.
Now we've just done very minimal stuff, but I like the way our guys have gotten after it and how the older guys have helped the younger guys just navigate different things, and that just goes back to our leadership. But I think it's going to be one of the most competitive falls that we've ever had here.
And I should preface this as we talk about some of these guys. I'll ask about them specifically. And you've told me names in the fall that don't end up impacting the team in the spring. You haven't told me names in the fall that end up being star players. So, you never know what's going to happen.
Well, I
on what
told
practice.
you Burley was going to hit.
You did tell me Burley.
And you didn't even know who that. I was like, that guy's going to hit the 3 hole as a freshman, which
I was like, who's Alec Burleson?
Hey, he did start that, and then he had his appendix taken out and didn't have a great freshman year, but he's in the big leagues now, so I think I hit on that one.
And then there was a couple years ago, we didn't even talk about Jacob Jenkins-Cowart, and he ended up hitting 3
Well, I
hole.
didn't.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you, and JC and I have talked about this, but, he said the defining moment for him was when his teammates voted him like the 14th best hitter, and he was these people are crazy. So he went to work and, had a great freshman year. Last year, not as good, but, I think he's definitely hungry this year. And he had an arm injury up at the Cape. That's why he came back, which it's fine, but he's been rehabbing that. And he's actually pretty much full strength hitting wise, and he's working, the throwing back and pretty close to being full strength throwing wise.
You look at a guy like JC, again, has the big freshman year, kind of out of nowhere. That creates expectations. We talk about how great he's going to be. Like, do you feel like maybe he had to learn to handle that a little bit, and then go into the junior year maybe in a better position to handle that?
I definitely think that when you're, I think we kind of put him on a pedestal, and I say we. I think the media.
Hey, we have to talk about something.
It wasn't me. It was the media. So I should need to throw we out of that term, and not that. Look, that's part of it. Look, man, you want to play. Professional baseball, you're going to be in the spotlight, but for me to sit here and say that didn't affect him, I'd be lying to you. I mean, it's different, and it's kind of like when guys go into their draft year, you got to be able to manage all this stuff. Right. And, I met with him and McChrystal this summer and said, hey, the best thing you guys can do this year is put blinders on and stay off social media and draft predictions, because if you worry about all that stuff, you will play like crap. So you need to worry about showing up, being a great teammate and working your tail off, and then your talent's going to take over.
What's your take on, Ryan McChrystal now? He's had the back injury I know he's dealt with, and then with Wilcoxon coming back, I know it's a work at catcher, but do you try to get him at other positions? What's kind of your take on McChrystal's third year?
Well, I think, number one, he's got to stay healthy, which we've talked about. He's done a really good job this summer of shaping his body back up. I think when he had the back injury early in the spring, just diet, traveling, trying to navigate everything, his body kind of, lost the tightness to it, so to speak. And that was one thing with all his back exercises that he has to do and will have to do the rest of his life to shape up his core. And he looks so much better. He's leaner. And look, he's going to have every opportunity to be in a position to catch just like he did last year. Going into the season before he got hurt, and we said this, but there wasn't a lot of difference between him and Wilcoxon behind the plate. Now, once all the injuries happened, then it just became, not getting as much time back there, not practicing as much. And, of course, he wasn't as good at the end, but he's working hard, and we're excited what he can do this year.
Chance on Twitter wants to know how valuable will Dixon Williams and Bristol Carter be. And I'll say for Bristol, obviously he was a notable recruit, but in your program, I feel like every freshman coming in has to earn their role. And Bristol even told me that too. Like, nothing's going to be handed to him. And I feel like he's got at least a good mindset. So those two guys, as far as Chance's question, what's kind of your expectations there?
Well, two different questions. So Dixon had a great summer. I think it was great for him to just go out and play. Dixon has always had the ability. He just has to, learn how to be consistent every day and showing up. Different than Norby as a freshman, but there were some similarities. He's going to have to earn it. I mean, look, there's going to be competition. We got more infielders than we've ever had here, and you can't be afraid of competition. But we're excited about him and seeing what he can do in the fall scrimmages. Bristol, of course, big recruit for us. He knows this, but the outfield has got a lot of older guys out there, so he's got to go out there and compete, and he's been working hard. And the thing I love about Bristol is he smiles, he has energy, and he has been a sponge up to this point of just taking in information.
More questions from Zach. He says, what younger players could have a breakout year, if any come to mind for you?
I'll let you know maybe after the fall, but we haven't done enough stuff. I don't look, but I told you after I gave Jake Hunter and all those guys so many props, McChrystal, their freshman year, that, hey, look, I love our freshmen. They work hard. The thing I would tell you that's different from this freshman class and last year, their personalities, for the most part, are better. They are not afraid to talk to me, and makes it easier to coach when you can actually have a conversation with somebody. So it's a neat group for sure, and it's just been a pleasure to be around them.
Again, very early, but Wrightsville Pirate wants to know, do you feel like, do you have a clear strength of the team for 24 already as you kind of look into the crystal ball for the spring?
I think that evolves, but, look, we've got high-end pitching for sure. Would I like to be a little bit deeper on the mound? Probably, but we've got some high-end guys, and just got to have some guys filling some roles in the back end. And then I really think position player-wise, we got a chance to be older. We got a chance to be really good offensively, really good defensively. That doesn't mean that there won't be younger guys in there, but like you said, I mean, Justin Wilcoxon, fifth-year senior, Starling, a senior, Clonch, a senior, Cunningham, fifth-year senior, J.C. McChrystal, juniors, Riley Johnson's a redshirt junior. I'm missing somebody. Joey Marini's a senior, so we got a chance to be older for sure.
Christian says, when is Coach Godwin going to make an appearance at a Green Central football game?
Well, I haven't been invited back for sure. I can't make this Friday, but maybe if somebody invited me back, I would come back. So my time is precious, but I had a lot of special moments out there, and I love that place.
So the challenge has been put out. If there are any Green Central people, make sure you invite Cliff Godwin back.
Maybe I can go with Bailey or something on
Friday night lights.
Touchdown
Friday.
Hey, Touchdown Friday.
There you go. Free ad for Brian Bailey. He does a great job with the show, though, so I have no problem giving him that. And if Cliff Godwin makes an appearance on Touchdown Friday, a lot of people are going to tune in. So
I used to make it as a player. It was a long time ago. That tells you how old Bailey is.
Yeah. Hey, we got to get that worked out, though. Come on, Green Central, step up. Christian with a good question here. He said, what are the positives to the new hitting coach, and what strength will that give you as a head coach going forward with the new hitting coach coming in?
Well, just the way that the landscape of college athletics has transformed. I just spend so much more time trying to pour into our guys, as relationships, and it just takes a lot of time. So Henry, I recruited him to Ole Miss. Super smart guy. I was worried about. He had a 30 ACT when we were recruiting him. I was worried about that he would want to go somewhere that was more academic than Ole Miss, and he chose to come to Ole Miss. I coached him his freshman year. He actually didn't even travel to Omaha in 2014, and then turned himself into being a 7th-round draft pick in his junior year. I think by the Phillies, made it all the way up to AAA, had an injury in his neck, and probably would have made it to the big leagues, but a switch-hitting catcher. So he's hit from both sides. He's going to be a tremendous asset for our catchers for sure. I mean, when you think about our staff, Coach Knight was a catcher. I was a catcher. Blake was a catcher. And even Heath Blackman, our director of player development, was a catcher, and Henry. So we got a lot of catchers floating around, a lot of knowledge. But I'm super excited because he's young. He's a hard worker. He's loyal. And if you look at the guys that I've hired on our staff, they're young, loyal, hardworking people, and they'll figure the rest out. So I'm just super excited. I think we got a chance to have the best staff we've ever had this year.
Martin, who I know he lives in Birmingham, Alabama now, so he wants to know, can you take the baseball team on the road to SEC country? I know you've done that in the past. Are there any plans to do that in the near future, or any talks?
There's always talks, but I don't think we have anything on the books. Definitely not this upcoming year, but it's just trying to navigate the schedule with RPI, which we need to get the NCAA or whoever does the RPI to work on that. When we beat South Florida 3 times on the road and our RPI goes down 5 points, not real sure how the math works when you get more points for winning on the road than you do at home. But yeah, we're up for anything. I mean, look, we're not afraid to play anybody. I think you guys know that.
We could do a whole show on RPI. That's just a disaster. It feels like we could come up with something new, or something that at least a little bit better. But you're right. Y'all shouldn't go on the road, sweep a series, and drop in the RPI. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Not even 1 point. We dropped 5 points, and then we got to open up with that team in the conference tournament. Of course, we lose in extra innings in that game, but it's hard to win college baseball games. You go ask any college coach, I don't care who you're playing. I don't care what their RPI is. I mean, you look at Tulane. Tulane, won 19 games? And, yeah, we can all sit here and say that our guys were tired, which they were, but we won 45.
Right.
And they beat us. So it's hard to win college baseball games.
That's how it is, man. Even in the major leagues, the Oakland A's are on pace for 116 losses. They beat my Seattle Mariners last night, who's competing for a playoff spot. So it's just it's hard to figure out sometimes, but that's baseball, man. All right, so Pirate Treasure wants to know, do the Powder Purples return in 2024?
Yes, and for anybody that doesn't like them, then you know what? No offense, I don't care because our players love them, the recruits love them. This came about because, Carter Spivey and Lane Hoover and Garrett Saylor, they loved them, and I want to take care of our guys. So fans, just hop on board and get some of those light purple pirate shirts that the athletic department passed out and just go with it.
And at the end of the day, I mean, people can have their opinion on uniforms, but it just all comes down to executing on the field, no matter what you're wearing. Like, what you're wearing has nothing to do with how you play. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I know, what is the uniform for football? Everybody's like, don't wear that uniform.
The all-purple got, and then the white helmets were big.
Yeah.
They finally did win in white helmets, so now we can stop that. All right, Adam wants to know, what is your go-to Taco Bell order if you have one?
Igo mentioned this to me off the air, and I don't know the last time I've eaten at Taco Bell. I probably should eat there more often since we've got the sponsorship up in right field.
Yeah. Nobody's hit that sign in years.
But I was having this conversation with Heath Blackman at camp, and we were talking about Taco Bell, and I was like, man, I used to get that Mexican pizza all the time. And he goes, they don't even serve that anymore. I go, God, I'm getting old.
Well, maybe you should go post-show if you haven't had lunch yet. Stop by Taco Bell, see how it goes. Let's see if we got any other questions here we need to hit. Pirate Treasure also wants to know any gaps on the roster that you still need to fill. I guess at this point it's kind of late, but I guess the better way to phrase it may be this offseason, you feel like y'all handled any possible gaps that y'all needed to address? Yeah, we did. I mean, I feel like we said, we're as deep position player-wise than we've ever been. I mean, a lot has to do with Starling and J-Dub coming back. I mean, if those two guys would have signed, then, it would have looked different. I think we got guys that could have filled in for sure, but when you have that experience and that production back, man, with two older guys, you can't be happier with the position players. And then pitching-wise, we added some portal guys that are older, and then we've got some really good young freshmen as well. So just excited about working with those guys, and I'll have a lot more to talk about specifically once we get into fall practice, which we'll start that last Thursday of September. WJ, speaking of the RPI conversation, kind of asked about the new teams coming into the American. Again, you're still trying to figure out your team. I doubt you dove into all these new teams, but at least last year it would seem to boost up the league's RPI from what they did last year.
The thing I would tell everybody is, because everybody's like, hey, who's going to be good in the conference? And every year I tell them I don't know, because I don't know what people have done in the portal. I don't get into that madness. Jeff and AK and Henry can dive into that. And then when we, get ready to – but a lot of teams use that a lot. So they, I think Charlotte brought in 31 portal, whether it be junior college or Division I guys. So, but they've been good. FAU's been good. UTSA's been good. Historically, and we all know what Rice used to be. So, and I know UAB's got a new head coach, and he's trying to get things going as well. So, I'm excited. I'm excited that we don't have to play Cincinnati 18 times in 1 year.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. That I got tired of ECU Cincinnati after a while. I'm sure you did too.
I did, but we won a lot of those.
You did. So. There's no doubt. All right, let's get our final break in. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up with Cliff Godwin on Hoist the Colors 94.3 The Game.
5th Street Hardware is the home of the $9 lunch special Tuesday through Fridays. $9 specials every day, including the famous Burger Day on Tuesdays, Flatbread Pizza Wednesday, the famous 5th Street Hardware Reuben on Thursday, and fried fish or shrimp on Friday. Plus trivia on Wednesday nights and live music every Thursday nights. And the Prime Rib Brunch Buffet has returned on Sundays. You heard that right. The Brunch Buffet with all the great items, including prime rib. 5th Street Hardware in downtown Greenville.
tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
I'm a big mood. You can't name a lot of things that I didn't do. Stack of paper like a book, not a Kindle. You outdated, I'm the one they getting into, and I won't break a sweat. Let's get it. 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 Child, please, I don't need a towel, please.
Are you game day ready? Anson Belt, the official belt of ECU Athletics.
Are you ready for a digital hair color revolution? The Color Master Factory by Chi and LG. A masterpiece of innovation, unlimited color formulations, limitless possibilities. Long-lasting color. Chi.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
What's happening? Tell me.
Every ECU fan's one stop for all things ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back into the show. A couple minutes left with head coach Cliff Godwin in studio before we get out of here. We'll hit a couple more of your questions. Charles on Facebook wanted to know, can you ask Coach how the schools like Vanderbilt, private schools, legally fund, full scholarships? I know that's kind of a topic that goes on in college baseball.
They just have better financial aid. I mean, they're guys that have a certain household income are able to get more money than they could if they went to just East Carolina. It's a state school, so there's just not a lot of financial aid available.
And that's, something private schools can take advantage of for sure. Pirate 2031 says, will the American Conference ever change the conference tourney format for less teams? I mean, if you do that, you could get better RPI matchups. Would you be in favor of looking at that?
I don't know how many teams are in baseball.
I guess so. Last year was 8, so all 8 went. But there's some teams, like I think the Sun Belt. There's a couple of conferences out there that just have 4. Like
we're just taking 8, so I think there's 10, maybe 10 baseball teams now.
Yeah.
Or 9. I know we got one extra weekend. We're of conference than we've had in the past, but it'll just always be 8. We'll never probably take more than 8 because, no offense, the teams 9 and 10 are not going to, make unless they win the tournament.
Tulane somehow did it, so you never know. But even then, it hurt y'all's RPI playing them. So it's I guess there's no perfect way to do it if you want to include everybody, but if you want to help out your top teams, you'd think that makes sense. David Hagney says, have you ever thought about having a fantasy camp for older Pirate fans? Has that ever come up? And y'all do a ton of camps for the youths, and a lot goes into it, a lot more than people realize.
I mean, look, there's obviously thoughts of alumni games, and I was just telling Doug Gomes was saying his wife wanted to do like a women's clinic, and we thought about all that stuff, but we just work so much. It's a lot. It's a lot because I would never want to put on something that wasn't organized. So their thoughts is just the amount of time that our coaches work. You got to give them some weekends off at some point in time.
John Moody says, is there a dream out-of-conference opponent Cliff would like on the schedule?
No dream for me. Just say, let's win some games.
Just a baseball game in Clare Stadium. That's your dream.
That's my dream, yep.
Any more West Coast trips coming up soon, or is that going to be out for a while?
Those things are, man, they're such a grind, man. Like when we played Washington and 18, I mean, you're just so tired. And then in 19, when we went to UCLA, our flight got canceled, and then we are all coming back on 5 different flights.
Right. And that just sets you behind for the, if y'all were chartering, it'd be one thing, but having to go commercial West Coast, that is a nightmare waiting to happen. Well, Coach, we got about a minute left. As you guys head into the fall, you mentioned all the new pieces coming in, guys returning. What's the biggest key for your team to really gel in the fall like you want them to?
Well, we need to stay hungry. The older guys got to stay hungry because there's some talented younger guys and, pushing one another. It's way harder to be consistent in athletics than just win one year and then don't win the next. And I never want us to fall, on hard times. And we've got the talent. We just got to make sure our culture stays where it is and continue to build on it.
5 straight 40-win seasons, 4 straight regular season titles, and I guess 5 straight conference championships.
Because 18,
tournament.
Yeah, we count 18. So let's keep the streak going, and let's host a super regional in Clark LeClaire, and let's beat that damn door down this year.
No doubt. Cliff Godwin, always giving us good quotes, especially after the regionals and super regionals. So we appreciate that. But hey, appreciate your time in studio today. It's been awesome, and always ready for baseball. I know people are geared up for football, but baseball around here means a lot. You do a great job with the program, so I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right, he's Cliff Godwin. We will be back tomorrow. We're going to dive back into our football coverage. We'll have Bobby Harward, former ECU assistant coach, join us. We'll talk about the keys to victory for East Carolina. How can the Pirates pull the upset at Michigan? Friday, we'll have Joe Sampson back, former ECU tight end, in studio as well. We'll make our game picks. We'll continue our roundtable discussion from yesterday's show, so a lot to look forward to. And then, of course, game day on Saturday in Ann Arbor. All right, let's get out of here. This has been Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.